Talking about culture in the city, and a number of our respondents to our request for evidence said that it's still an old boys network. And could I ask each of you whether you think that that's true, whether it's changing, and if not, which are the particularly worst culprits? Perhaps starting with you, Baroness Morrissey.
Okay, I don't want to name and shame right off the off, but let's get into it. So I think that I think it is still very much feels to women as an old boys network. I think there is, and probably Mark would want to elaborate on this rather than me steal his thunder, there is a strange gap in perceptions between how men see the workplace and how women see the workplace. And I'll leave it, say, to Mark to share, but on average, men think it's a fair place and women don't. And this lack of understanding between men and women about what we're actually dealing with is a problem. I think that, and to be honest, that the bigger companies, I think, can often feel extremely daunting for women. And even today, I'm approached by a lot of women who come and tell me that they're still the only woman in their team. So even if there's no intention of the company to make it into an old boys network, it inevitably feels that way to the woman who feels excluded from all the conversations, a lot of the conversations at the desk, and doesn't feel they belong. And that takes a lot of effort to overcome that.
Thank you. I think part of the problem here is a lot of our focus has been on diversity and counting numbers, counting the number of women in an organisation, rather than focusing on inclusion. And I think we need to start focusing on inclusion because we need to change the culture. It's clear from our E2W members that the lived experience of women in the workplace and in the city is very different from the lived experience of men. And with Men for Inclusion, we measure that by something we call the lived experience gap. All the work and the research we've done shows that women's experiences in the workplace are generally about 30% poorer than men's. So there are things that happen at often called microaggressions. We call them accidental sexisms. They're being interrupted in meetings, having ideas stolen, only being promoted on past performance rather than on potential, being given the admin tasks rather than those tasks that are appropriate to the P&L. All of these things are happening to women every day in the workplace, and generally men are completely blind to them. And when we talk to men about them and show men that these things are happening, they generally then get on board and start changing that culture from the bottom up.
So there is hope.
There is hope.
Thank you.
There is hope.